Welcome to The Real and the Woo. I'm your host, Laurie Stern. Join me as I invite experts and friends to discuss a range of topics, from the factual and practical to the mystical and magical. Consider this your virtual happy hour filled with lively, authentic, and meaningful conversations meant to inform, inspire, and ignite your curiosity. Whether you are very real or super woo, this podcast is just for you. Hi, welcome to another Mindfulness Monday episode with me here on The Real and the Woo. I didn't record one last Monday because I was still in Vancouver coming off a retreat in the magic wilderness of the woods near Vancouver. I have never in my life experienced such beauty. The green color of the woods I experienced was like nothing I've ever seen. And I've gone to camp my whole life. I've spent plenty of time in nature around lakes and oceans and ponds. But oh my goodness gracious, it was incredible. I'm still really trying to find the words and really taking my time to integrate the energy that I received and the energy that was surrounding me, both energetically, physically, literally, with the other people on the retreat, but just the magic in the air. And here's a fun fact I did not know until this happened to me. I went to charge my phone one of the last nights on the retreat in the woods near this beautiful loon lake. And my phone gave me a warning that said, liquid detected, unplug your phone or you're going to damage it forever. Pretty much that's what it said. And I had to Google it, and there was no liquid. I had not dropped my phone. It had been raining days before, but, it didn't get wet, whatever. And so I went to bed, kind of not really going to sleep because I had to charge my phone. I had to get up at a certain time the next morning. So I waited and I ended up plugging my phone back in and overriding this warning. But a friend of mine from that area said that cell phones are manufactured with some sort of special membrane that we can't see here in the States that protects phones up that way from moisture. So there you go. The other thing I was really thrilled to encounter, now that I'm thinking about it, is the pride the Canadians, at least the ones I met, have in their country. Yeah, so we were lucky to be driven by the woman who was facilitating the retreat. Her dad and her husband volunteered to drive a group of us who were staying in Vancouver to the retreat center because a lot of the other people came from an area where they could just drive themselves. And on the way, her dad was giving us history and why this highway was named this, or, oh, this is this community to the right, or this is this city to the left, and on and on. And I thought, not only am I not from Chicago originally, but if anybody were to come visit me here, what would I show them? I'd show them the lake. I'd show them Michigan Avenue, and then we'd probably go eat some Italian food because that's what we have here. Um, and even in St. Louis, it's like the arch, the stuff we learn about in school. But just that pride and the ability for the Native Canadians to share their country was, I thought, just amazing. And the other fun fact is the GPS, at least in this man's car, had such a pleasant voice. And even the dot at the end, when we have GPS and we're using the Google Maps or whatever, it's a red point that shows us our destination. And in Canada, it's an animated checkered flag. So it's just like the simplest things that brought me such joy. I mean, I was in joy the entire time, but I was just really in a mindset to notice the smaller things, I guess. Maybe that's just where my mind goes, but it just made me giggle. It made me smile. So I just wanted to share that. And the other thing I wanted to share, and I've talked about this before, I wrote a Substack when my friend Lisa passed away about just showing up, just saying yes to an invitation. And this was one of those situations where I said yes to myself because I went on this retreat not knowing one other soul except the facilitator. And because I have such trust and faith and respect within her and for her, I just immediately knew she was going to gather the right group, curated specifically for this experience. And I was spot on. The other members, there's 20 of us, we really collectively lifted each other up, raised the vibrations around us and for and within each other. And the places I was able to go spiritually was like nothing I'd ever encountered. And that was echoed by the other participants as well. And I really give credit to all of us saying yes to show up. A lot of these people had been already in classes together working with Jeanette, who led the retreat, Jeanette Bira, Biro Bira. I always say that right and wrong, although I love and adore her. I just call her Jeanette. Some of them knew each other, but some of them didn't. And the food was amazing. The grounds were amazing. It felt like I had gone back to summer camp on steroids. And the stillness of the lake was like nothing I'd seen, except for when I woke up early when I went to Camp Sabra to water ski, trick ski, because the lake would get so choppy during the regular day. Those of us learning to trick ski would have to wake up at 6 a.m. before breakfast so that the lake would be like glass. But even saying that pales in comparison to the reflection of this lake against the trees, against the sky, where you really couldn't tell where one started and where one ended. Um, and the fun part is what I know I build and cultivate and experience in my own yoga classes, but also when I show up to take class in anybody else's classes. Yoga builds community. We call it kula. And so, in that same way, these retreat participants, we created a community, obviously, a kula, our own intention, our own like minded reasons for going, although divergent for sure. Not everybody was there for the same reason, but collectively, we were there for this spiritual experience, a spiritual retreat. And in that same way, we immediately skipped from point A to like M. We didn't have to do the introductions of where we were on our journey as much as maybe talking to people that aren't on this spiritual path. And so when we would come off a forest walk and share stories about, yeah, I talked to this tree, or this mushroom spoke to me, or I learned this from touching the grass, and the conversations and the energy we picked up from doing those things, not one person looked at anybody else with like that look, like, what the hell are you talking about? You are just crazy. You're a lunatic. You're talking to trees. It was like, yeah. And what did it say? And that's amazing and good for you. Right. So the immediate acceptance that we had for each other is the same when you walk into a yoga class, hopefully, right? When you're meeting people for the same reason and showing up with the intention to what I'm calling empowered authenticity, right? Empowered authenticity, showing up in your full self, right? Whatever mood you might be in, whatever clothes you want to wear, if you want to dye your hair purple, you want to not speak, you want to, whatever you want to do, just showing up, delighting in your empowered authenticity brings other people to you and matches your vibration and matches your energy. And you inspire when you show up that way to allow others to show up in their empowered authenticity. And so, again, just right away, we knew that was already happening. We knew we were there for the same reasons. We knew we were people of a certain ilk that created an immediate kind of comfort, I guess, you don't immediately have in other situations. Even, listen, I've been on yoga retreats. I've facilitated yoga retreats. I hope to, anyone out there, be doing more of that. And I say this all the time, especially if you have a mansion and a yacht. Pick me. I want to teach yoga on your yacht in the middle of the Mediterranean, and also in your office space, on your offsite, your location, wherever it is, right? I bring myself to you. You can bring yourself to me. But the idea is when we arrive on our mat or show up at the dinner or the party or the family gathering or a retreat, that we show up in our empowered authenticity. Even if we're nervous, even if we're a little unsure of the foods we might eat or the other people that might be there, when we are confident and happy and joyful and accepting of ourselves, we are all of those things and more towards others, right? So, my lens is the chakras. I help people understand themselves from the inside out. And you don't have to know anything about chakras. You just have to know that you want to understand yourself because we do all come with instructions, which is why I call my signature workshops. We do come with instructions. And we're meant to understand those instructions and how they work for or against us in situations. And when we're not feeling, that sense of empowered authenticity, or we don't even know what that means, we want to figure that out. We want to understand how to find our authentic selves, right? The world is throwing algorithms at us and fake news all over us. And we are just slimed every day with energetic crap. And a lot of that slime is inside of us. We really lay a lot of energetic crap on ourselves. We don't need to, right? So, any way you can release that, any way you can let it go, whether it's through movement, breath work, meditation, yoga, spirituality, having a chat with your trees in your yard or your dog or your cat, any way you can connect to yourself and especially with your inner child, like, let your freak frag I can't even say it. Let your freak flag fly. Let your inner child come to play. Get out the coloring books, get out the paints, put on some music and dance your pants off. Go hug a tree, go talk to a tree, lay in your yard, full on earthing, stand in your bare feet, go on a bike ride, go on a walk, sit in stillness, put on your favorite show, spend time with your favorite humans. But please, please make sure when you're spending time with your favorite humans, you're spending time with you first as your favorite human. And if you need help figuring out who that version of you is, that's what I do. That's why I'm here. It's why I do what I do. It's why I come on here, Mindfulness Mondays. It's why I record my podcast with other guests. It's why I curate playlists and sequencing when I teach. It's why I workshop. It's why I talk your ears off because my whole mission is to help you matter. If you haven't heard that yet, please listen to it. My friends gave me a bracelet that says you matter, and I wear it every day. And it's a reminder to myself that I matter. And it's a reminder my friends matter to me and I matter to them. And what a gift, right? So say yes. Say yes to showing up in your real and your raw and your woo self. Speak your truth. If your truth that day is, I had a conversation with the tree in my backyard and I want to tell you what it said, just say it, right? You might inspire someone else to echo that same sentiment or get curious about talking to their trees. This morning, I taught a class and I shared some of the stuff that went on this retreat. And one of them was about going in the forest and talking to trees and coming back after lunch and telling everybody about them. And one of the students came up to me after class and she said, I'm so glad you said something. I thought I was the only one who did this. And she told me, like, she talks to this tree and, gratitude and thank you for surviving because, it's got some damage. And I shared with her, I do the same thing with my willow tree. When we moved into our house, there were 6 willow trees, and willow trees are dirty trees, we were told, and they are because the roots and everything goes into the plumbing, and we had to take 5 trees down. They were not healthy trees. Before I knew what I know now, which is, clear cutting is really bad. We need to keep some of the mother trees. And I don't know if the trees we got rid of were her babies, and And I told her this morning that my big willow tree, I'm like, "I'm so sorry, we didn't know better. We cut your babies down, but thank you for surviving. This tree in our yard has been hit by lightning. One of the branches fell down, like, I don't know, 5 or 6 summers ago, and I had to rebuild that section of the fence myself, of course, because I have the tools and I'm not afraid to use them. And that was very gratifying to rebuild a section of fence by myself. And there's been some times we've thought we had to take this tree down because it looks pretty pitiful in the winter. It looks like Charlie Brown's Christmas tree. But in the summer, she blooms, she grows, her willow fronds extend, and she brings us such joy. I'm out there every morning holding each of my hands on her, grounding and saying my morning meditation prayers and things like that. So we're going to keep her around as long as we can. The woodpeckers love her, my dog loves her, our children love her. So talk to your plants. There's research that shows, and you can look at that on TikTok and Instagram and everything else. When you talk or sing to your plants or play them music, they move. Say nice things to the things you're growing, right? Plants, grass, your children, your relationships, yourself, right? We are always growing. So just like plants and anything else that's living, look at yourself in the mirror, look at yourself in that reflection every day or when you can remember to, and talk to yourself with love and gratitude, encouragement, and empowered authenticity because you matter. And I want you to understand that without a fucking doubt. Okay. So that's my Mindfulness Monday treat for you. I hope it's a treat. If you haven't signed up for my newsletter, please go to my website, www.customdesignedwellness.com. I am constantly trying to make my website more user friendly, so please let me know if you find it unfriendly. There are free consultation buttons all over the place that link to a calendar I finally connected. Again, it's a work in progress, so it might not be completely up to date, but please schedule that call because you never know what I might be able to do for you with yoga or Reiki, breath work, energetic wellness conversations, and coaching. Um, I'm looking to see more of you as my guests on my podcast. If you have a story to tell, please reach out to me, Laurie at customdesignedwellness.com, Lauri. And let me know any other topics you might want me to discuss on Mindfulness Mondays or on my podcast. And I'd love to be a guest on your show. I'm always looking to talk to you any way I can. So thanks for listening. Thanks for being your empowered, amazing, authentic self. And to quote one of my new friends from the retreat, she enjoyed the way we were all delicious weirdos together. So may you find your tribe of delicious weirdos. May your tribe ignite, inspire, and lift your vibe. And from me to you, thank you for listening. Have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon.